And it's Tuesday morning. That means Magic Insiders here at 11 a.m. Great to have you with us here. Thanks for joining us on the Orlando Magic YouTube channel. For all of you listening on 96.9 The Game, we appreciate you as always. And listen, we want to make this very interactive here today. So any questions, any comments that you have, fire away. We're going to spend a lot of time getting through this. The Magic were in action last night against the Miami Heat. And we're going to get through this together, Jake. We're going to get through this together.
Yep.
I was feeling good. 6.5 minutes to go. I'm like, the Magic are cruising. We're going to win the season series against our rival, the Miami Heat. But unfortunately, it did not go that way. And sometimes you got to tip your hat to the opponent. Miami was red hot down the stretch, and they were not to be denied. And even with the Magic with a 12-point lead with 6 minutes left, they get outscored 17-5 down the stretch. Just 2 field goals in the final 6.5 minutes. And we have a rivalry. We officially have a rivalry back. And Miami was able to grab that one. 29 points for Franz Wagner, 30 points for Tyler Hero. We'll get to it all. But we want your comments, your thoughts after that heartbreaker last night in Miami, and we will recap that one. But, Jake, we'll just begin with unbelievable comeback by the Miami Heat. Sometimes you got to say that. They made every shot they had to down the stretch, and the Magic were up by 6 in overtime. Unfortunately, unable to close the deal.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's a 2-2 season series draw. Would have been awesome to go in there and win both games at the Kaseya Center this year. Obviously, you get the season opener down there. It was a hell of a basketball game.
Yes,
Dante.
it was. Yes, it was.
As
Double
a
overtime, right?
pure basketball fan, first overtime game the Magic played so far this year. Did feel like they ran out of gas a little bit at the end of the game. Not an excuse, but you shoot 1 of 6 in the double overtime period.
Ran out of gas the final 6 minutes, I'll tell you that.
Basically, he certainly did on the defensive end. A few miscues, a couple Jovic threes, a couple Robinson threes. I think spelled doom. It was 2 stars on one side versus 2 stars on the other side, though. I think we're the headliners, Paulo and Franz versus Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo, and those guys came out on top in a home game with a pretty – we got to give props. I don't know if it's to the game presentation folks in Miami for pumping in the crowd noise or the actual crowd there.
Yeah, that's right.
They were awesome late in that game. You don't usually get that at the Kaseya Center in January. So it is what it is. Back to the lab, back to the drawing board, and then back out west for 5 big games heading into the All-Star break.
Well, and we want your comments. So, again, we're going to work this in here throughout the broadcast. Tony's already pumping in, saying we need a guard. We need a point guard. We need a guy that can get you a basket late. He enjoys the show. Jay Curve, phenomenal as always. Magic prod, too. But I don't – listen, trade deadline is coming. I think we're coming up on a week away from the trade deadline. So any needs will be addressed. I don't think you need that. I think you need a Jalen Suggs back. I think we're finding out how much Jalen Suggs means to this team. There's no question about that. The Magic went 2-8, now 2-9 in the 11 games that he's missed. So he's a big part of this. You're also 2-9 without Goga Bitadze. You just needed someone to make a basket last night, and unfortunately, it seemed like you played not to lose. You kind of went into a stall, and then it was a lot of one-on-one. You just got away from what got you there. Terrific ball movement, playing without the basketball, and unfortunately, you let it get away from you last night. But there were guys that played well and put Orlando in position to win, and now it's 3 games back for Franz Wagner. He gets you 29 points last night, and if you look at what Franz has done his last 3 games since returning from injury, he's getting you 27 points a game, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and he's 44% from the floor. And I think the most impressive thing is he gave you 40 minutes last night.
Yeah.
So there's nobody that can stand minutes restrictions less than me. If the guy looks like he can play 40 minutes, play him 40 minutes. But I understand it. You got to protect these guys from themselves. Last night, I applaud Coach Mosley. That guy was trying to win a basketball game. You got 44 minutes from Paolo Banchero and 40 from Franz Wagner.
I don't know how many wild horses it would have taken to keep Franz Wagner off the floor in overtime in the double overtime period. But we're getting a few comments, and I agree with both of them. Jay Curve says, heartbreaking double OT loss last night. Can I be truthful? We got to move the ball. No James Harden dribbling. Jalen Lawson says they doubled Paolo every possession. If we had more off-ball movement to the basket, I think it would have changed the dynamic. You saw that for the first 3.5 quarters. And then as we talk about how you sort of let go of the rope at the end of the game and in the overtime period, the ball movement got a little bit stagnant. And for this team, regardless of who we have on the floor, make 14 threes. It's because the ball is snapping around, and you just didn't necessarily see that last night, especially in the overtime period.
No, you certainly didn't, and I think those are good points to bring out, and it's something that they'll correct. Here's what I will say. You're still working guys back, and I know the minutes restriction, and I know all of that, but don't you feel like once you get healthy? Don't you feel like you're 1 or 2 games away from being, oh, that's right. That's how we all have to play together. When you get Jalen back, hopefully on Thursday at the start of this road trip in Portland, I feel like it's coming. And I feel like it's going to all come together on this West Coast trip. I feel like you're right there. You knew it's going to be rocky. You knew guys are still getting their legs under them. But once they figure this out, I say watch out for the final 30 games, right? I don't know what it's going to take or where it's going to click, but I feel like it's very close, Jake.
Yeah, I think, look, you get Goga back last night. He looked like he hadn't missed a beat. He was outstanding. You get Jalen back. It's going to make a big difference, I think. You've got everything in place. And the second unit right now looks like a intact, full, exactly what you envisioned type second unit. Cole Anthony Black, obviously. You think about Tristan Da Silva. There are so many different ways to attack when you think about your top 10. Everybody's kind of falling into place right now. Got to get healthy and see what you can do out west.
Well, listen, keep the comments pouring in. I think it's fantastic. John Osborne, we always appreciate you. You do a phenomenal job, part of the six-man show. Rafiq, I also feel it'll come together when we're healthy. That's exactly right. But this 5 out and no ball movement, I couldn't agree more. And I think this, when we say it's rocky, this is what we're talking about. Paolo and Franz are back. There can be the assumption those guys are just going to go win the game for you. And you can't stand and watch. You still have to cut. You still have to get open. You still have to do all the things that got you the 12-point lead with 6 minutes left. And that is the point I'm at. That's the thing that they're going to figure out here down the stretch. But another sign that I like, too, it was an off game for Paolo. They just load up on him. They just absolutely loading up on Paolo right now. We have to take some of that pressure off of him, and that's where it falls in, all these guys moving around as well. But Jonathan Isaac, back-to-back games now for J.I. You look at his last two, 11 points, 6.5 rebounds, 1.5 blocks. How impactful has Jonathan Isaac been? And you look at the impact that he's had out there on the floor. And it's only 18.5 minutes a night. If you can get that up to 22 minutes a night, this guy is a game changer. And it feels like the last 2 games we've gotten back to the Jonathan Isaac we saw last year.
Yeah, and there was so much talk at the beginning of the season about the added weight and what it was going to look like as the season went on. Been very cautious, sort of judicious with his minutes. The idea is to have him with some of that added weight and able to defend multiple positions late into March, into April. That's when it's important to be ramping him up to the 25, 28, 30 minutes a night. But we've known exactly what he's able to do defending multiple positions. You just feel comfortable with him on the floor late in games. And now he's starting to knock down shots as well. The rebounding has been huge. The last 2, we've needed that. But now you just think about the big rotation. No, you don't have Mo Wagner, of course, but with Goga back, Wendell, and then you're able to mix Jonathan Isaac in there. A lot of versatility defensively for Coach Mosley. And the rebounding was one thing that, especially with Goga out, you were really missing. Even with Jalen. Jalen's a good rebounding guard. J.I. contributing in that department the last couple of nights made a huge difference.
I love this from Lewis. I was at the game last night. We looked good at times, but made mistakes at times. And he's right. We looked really good at times. And we're going to talk about how good we've looked the last 2 games now that you've had Franz and Paolo together. We do a thing on Magic Insiders. If anybody has seen A League of Their Own, there's a scene where Jimmy Dugan, the manager, kind of yells at his player because you're still overthrowing the cutoff, man. I'd like you to work on over the offseason, right? You're still going under the screens on Duncan Robinson. If I'm Coach Mosley, you're calling a timeout. The whole building knows the ball is going to Duncan Robinson, and you don't guard Duncan Robinson twice. That, to me, was a killer. Those are those communication things that you have to iron out here down the stretch, and that's what's coming here these final 34 games. So when they get it right, watch out. Nick Anderson said this on the last broadcast. The rest of the Eastern Conference had their chance to bury the Magic, and they didn't do it. They left us alive. They left us running with the heartbeat, and now here we come, these final 34. Magic fans, celebrate a kingdom on the rise with us at the Kia Center. See the Magic represent Orlando in the new City Edition uniforms as they battle it out against the Charlotte Hornets on Wednesday, February 12th. Get your tickets today for this City Night at OrlandoMagic.com. More Magic Insiders when we return in a moment. Welcome back, everyone, to Magic Insiders. We are presented by International Diamond Center, Dante Marchitelli and Jake Chapman, and special thanks to Jason Dewberry, our producer. We think we figured out the microphone issues. So we did have some comments on the mic not working, just so you can see it, probably a little too much inside baseball. But the hand signals we were getting to signify to talk into the mic, it was a little bit like if I was
elephant,
yes,
something like that.
First word sounds like, and so that's on me. I didn't put that together, but now we know. If I was at the plate, I would have bunted. Just so you know.
Yeah.
So that was the signals that I was getting.
Into the microphone.
Let's get to our call of the game. It's brought to you by Glip from Ring Central. We think the way you work with secure meetings and messaging on any device with Glip by Ring Central. Visit glip.com to learn more. And we want your comments, and I love these comments. And there's one I want to single out individually. From Jalen Lawson, so we'll get back to that in just a second. But my call of the game, I think, and I want to get your thoughts on this, Jake and I both do, I feel like Goga Bitadze is the unsung hero on this team this year. I think we know the value that he brings, we know how special he is, and we know what he means to this team, but I still feel like he's a guy that means so much to this basketball team right now. You look at Goga Bitadze, he comes back last night, gets you 10 points, 9 rebounds. On the season, a breakout year, 9.5 points, 8 rebounds. He's one of the best in field goal percentage, block percentage, rebound percentage. Top 10 in all three of those. They're 2-9 without Goga Bitadze. They're 22-15 with Goga. That rim protection, that rim runner, his ability to finish, I feel like he doesn't get enough praise for what he has brought to this team.
Yeah, all the above. The month of December, he was one of the best centers in the NBA.
Yes.
If you look at the numbers, and we know what he means as far as what you said, rim protection. He can play make a little bit. A lot of the comments coming in, Duval said, we don't lose that game last night without Jalen, and
yeah.
I think I agree. But Goga, it's the same thing. That sort of passion and fire, play in and play out. It's difficult to bring that type of energy for 48 minutes and then for an 82-game season. And Goga's got it. I'm working on – so there's the Georgian Beast, but do you like the Georgia Bulldog? Because he does have a little bit of bulldog to him.
Yes.
It leads you to the other Georgia, not
leads
the Georgia
yeah.
that he's from. Anyways, he had a double-double last night, 22 minutes. It looked like he hadn't missed a beat, and he did miss 6 games. And you could tell before he went down with the hip and the concussion that he was fighting it a a little bit. He had played heavy minutes, a much bigger role than he's ever played before in his career. So he said yesterday, it's either going to be Dusty or Rusty, or maybe Dusty and Rusty. I didn't see either of them. And by the way, what an amazing quote.
What an amazing quote. Dusty and Rusty. No, I do like that.
We love Goga. We love the attitude he brings and the personality. But he's kind of the spirit animal, and he means a lot on the floor. That rim protection is so key to this team. So getting him back. And the one other comment that I did just want to throw in there from Duval as well.
We'll keep them going. Now's a great time. So keep those comments coming. We've got a couple of minutes as we close out the show. Just want to pinpoint Orlando's offense the last 2. But before that, whatever comments you have, let's have a chance to address.
I was just going to say, he said we win that game if we make our free throws. And that was,
great point.
Coach Mosley talked about the defensive lapses late. There were chances. You talk about letting the Magic off the hook, what Nick had to say about us over the course of the season. We let the Heat off the hook in the first 3 quarters of play last night, left 10 points at the free throw line. That's the type of stuff that you got to do to win a tough game on the road, and we didn't do it last night.
One more free throw, you win. It never goes to overtime or double overtime, right? Just one more free throw. That could be the difference in a win or a loss, and that's been troubling. For some reason, the free throw is just not locked in, and that has been a giant struggle. But Orlando's offense here the last 2 games, this is what we were wondering. Obviously, your offense is going to take a hit when you don't have Paolo and Franz. But now that they're back, and once you add Jalen to the mix, there was a comment from Jalen, ironically, the same name here, saying, no one else has the fire that Jalen plays with. There might not be anyone on earth that has the fire that Jalen plays with. But that doesn't mean none of the other players play with fire. So that's the point I want to make. These guys are competitors. These guys want to win. It just looks clunky at times when you have Paolo and Franz out there because guys are kind of deferring to them too much. You still got to play your own game, and that's what they'll figure out. But Orlando's offense the last 2 games, 120 points per game. We haven't seen that at any stretch during the season.
Orlando's offense you're talking about?
This is Orlando's offense. Okay. 120 points per game, 47% from the floor, 14.5 made threes, 40% from 3, and 20 made free throws. That's the Orlando Magic offense the last 2, while it's clunky, while you're trying to work guys back in. That, to me, is encouraging.
The 14 and 15 made threes. I mean, you had me at 14 and a half made threes. It just makes such a huge difference when you're scoring from all 3 levels. And we've got guys who are good at getting to the rim and finishing. We've got guys in Paolo and Franz who are good at the mid-range. And now we just need that 3rd level. And when you don't have your 2 studs or two engines that drive the offense, it can be difficult. So obviously working those guys back, I mean, we saw it all kind of come together over the weekend in that Pistons game. Last night it was pretty good. I mean, you're talking about a few defensive lapses, but playing a tough Miami team, and you went toe-to-toe with them on the offensive side of the ball. And that is where the future looks so bright, right? You're getting bodies back. We know how important Jalen is on the offensive side of the ball. Goga with the junk points and setting good screens. So getting guys back, obviously very, very encouraging early signs as far as the offense goes. And I think that was just the second game last night that the Magic lost when they had made more than 12 threes. Is that right? Third game last night? Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't happen very often.
When we knock down our threes, we're very, very difficult.
It's the third time we've lost when we scored 111 points. I mean, that's it's only happened 15 times. 111 points. I mean, that is staggering to think that's that hard in today's NBA to get that.
Which, by the way, we lost that game. I'll take that game 10 times out of 10 over a 95-89.
Or the 89-88 that we lost here on a Tyler Hero game winner. No question. Okay, before we close that out, unless there's any other comments that you want to hit on the way out, we'll finish with our upcoming games look ahead. Doesn't get much tougher than this. The Magic start a 5-game West Coast trip, and it's going to begin in Portland against the Trailblazers on Thursday. We'll have it for you on FanDuel. All of these games on FanDuel Sports Network and either 96.9 FM or 104.5 FM. Check your local listings. At Utah, at Golden State. Listen, these are winnable games. Yep. Obviously, it's very difficult to beat Steph on any night, but that's a winnable game now. At Sacramento, at Denver, that closes out the road trip. They can win any games on that 5-game West Coast trip.
Absolutely, and obviously it starts with Portland. We owe those guys. We owe the Utah Jazz. Got kind of a weird start time, 5 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah, it is
against Utah. So this is a business trip, and we keep talking about it. This is the time of year where good teams start to make some headway in the standings. So you got to go out there and take care of business, and I'm pretty confident they'll be able to.
I feel like it's going to come together, and again, we'll continue to monitor the comments as my iPad crashed, so I don't have access to the comments. So I'm solely dependent on you. I tried to make it like a subtle hint, but now I need you to do it.
Okay. Got it. Let's see. We've got
that's 7 years of working together, not picking up on the subtleties.
We've got Luis Rosario.
And you can see my blank screen.
Well, yeah, but I'm locked in over here. You're the one who's driving with all the graphics, and you and Dewberry have your secret charades going on over here.
That is true.
We need to lean on Tristan and Jalen as the second scoring pair. That's from Jay Curve.
Okay, well, listen, Jay Curve. Okay, so what are your thoughts on Tristan da Silva?
First off, did you charge that?
I didn't, and that's on. So it's on me. It's on me. There's no question about it. But so Tristan da Silva, 17 points last night. And 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Terrence Ross, for those that didn't see, joined us as an analyst in studio. He was phenomenal. You know this. He's been an analyst with you on radio and will continue to be on 96.9 The Game, so you got to tune into that. He loves Tristan da Silva.
Yeah.
And for this Magic team, with all the injuries that they've had, to get a 4-year guy that not only knows how to score, but how to play, how to move without the basketball, how to pass, grab rebounds, knock down 5 threes last night. How good was Tristan da Silva?
Yeah, and think about the fact that he, as a rookie, has already started 34 games, and now you're sliding him into that second unit, and what a difference could he make as far as being a floor spacer for those guys. The second unit, we know how solid he is defensively. In the last 2 games, he's looked phenomenal coming off the bench. So we know about the basketball IQ, we know about the defense, we know about all the kind of fill-in-the-gap type things, but as a scoring pop within that second unit and a floor spacer, I think he absolutely is going to shine in that role.
We get Goga Bitadze back, but Wendell stays in the starting lineup. He gets you 14 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. I mean, Wendell was phenomenal last night as well. Bam Adebayo had his way with us, and he does that with a lot of teams. So he's playing terrific. So is Tyler Hero right now. But you're going to have a decision to make as Goga gets his minutes, as that minutes restriction is lifted and he gets his legs under him. You know, do you go back to Goga as a starter? Do you continue to go this way? Is he now your backup 5? It's a great problem to have. And you have Jonathan Isaac coming in as that backup 4. So you're kind of getting back to that role that you envisioned for everybody.
It sort of feels like Wendell slides into the Mo role a little bit better as a bit of a scoring center. Within that bench role, you can kind of run offense through him. And I think you like Goga and some of the rhythm that you're able to build.
So you think they go back eventually?
I think so. Yeah. I think it, but I don't think you can go wrong either way. I think both those guys are going to have games where they're on the floor at the end of games, which is really the most important thing. But yeah, one of those good problems for Coach Mosley to have for sure.
It certainly is. Okay, well, we've only got another minute or so. So if nobody else is commenting or has any questions or inquiring
Rafiq says Terrence was nice yesterday. He said he really enjoyed having him on the panel.
I thought it was cool. And it's funny because that, excuse me, getting verklempt, swallowed something the wrong way. That's why you shouldn't drink coffee while you're doing a live broadcast.
That's why Dewberry, we shouldn't be drinking. Quit giving us the hand signals about the drinking.
You're exactly right. It's funny because heat just emanates off of him, the Human Torch. You get anywhere near him. I thought that was over now that he's not playing. He's still the Human Torch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's still ready to go at any moment. And for those of you inquiring about Kendra Douglas and her whereabouts, we only got a few of those questions. She's coming up, I believe, on a group chat soon, correct? I believe at noon you can interact with Kendra Douglas.
All right, so just stick around. It's the same destination, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right, perfect.
Yeah, everybody's excited. I like those comments, too. Get these two jokers off the screen so we can talk to Kendra.
Okay, yeah, there you go. I don't know if that was necessary.
You had to go there. Not that we disagree, but
Steve Clifford is in the chat. He says we need Terrence to suit up. Steve Clifford hops in, says we need Terrence to suit up. So
if I were to say, and we'll end on this, if I were to say, give me the one guy who will never join this group chat, what's the name you would have given me?
Yeah, it's hard to. I've got a few, but I probably shouldn't say them, so I'll just say Steve.
Stan probably one.
Stan probably
would be 1 and 2. Yeah. All right, that'll do it for this edition of Magic Insiders. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, any comments, any questions, any thoughts you have along the way, we would love to address them. Try to have fun with this. Keep this live chat going every Tuesday at 11 o'clock right here on the Orlando Magic YouTube channel. And for all of you tuning in on Magic Insiders on 96.9 The Game, thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow.